Hello everyone, I'm Mandar. I'll be speaking about the winning proposals. So, uh, customers buy for their reasons and not yours. Really, customers buy for their reasons, not yours. What you can do, what you are good at matters, but there are a set of reasons and a set of requirements which customer has and which are primarily important drivers for coming up to you or making a decision on your proposal. So, what are those reasons? Cost? Is a cost a reason for anyone would come to you and say, all right, you win your proposal because you're the lowermost cost? Well, answer is yes and no. Primarily, I'm going to talk about all other reasons which make a lot more influence in terms of your proposal decision apart from the cost, and how can you make it influential to take it forward. So, one of the things important that needs to be understood is the what are the problems the client is facing. Typically, you would see any proposal which gets submitted, it talks a lot about, okay, I can do agile, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that. And everyone forgets what client wants, right? So a situation, someone comes to you and says, all right, I have a set of products and they do all this, and no one cares to ask what you want. And that's the first question. I think that's very important that needs to be asked. And how do you do that? How do you do that? What are the, on an RFP process or a proposal process, what are the steps or the touch points that you have, and how can you use them? So there's an initial RFP call. So it may not be there, it may be there or it may not be there. So that's not a touch point really in all cases. But there's a Q&A session. That's the first touch point you have with the customer where you can make an impact in terms of trying to understand customers' pain points, giving rather asking right questions, which indicates how much you know, how much capable you are. So that's the first touch point on which you make an impression. Next is a proposal document which gets submitted, the content of it, the structure of it, and how do you are presenting it. We'll talk more in detail about the proposal document and the content going forward. Proposal presentation is another area where when you're presenting a proposal, the set of audience that you have is going to be different and varied across the technical people, the functional and the executive people. So in terms of the proposal presentation, how effective it can be. So that's another touch point where you can make an impact. Negotiation, I'll come to that point in terms of, let's say, it's important that once you have an understanding of what the pain points are, what the problems, the primary problems client is trying to address, it makes a lot easier on your negotiations where you could always say, these are your primary problems, three key areas that you want to address. Might as well you leave this, put it to next release, let's do some sort of breaking the total proposal into multiple releases, right? So it helps there in terms of the cost. So some of the things which I talked about, understanding pain points, going with the solutions, take a step forward, give a roadmap in terms of your understanding. I know I want to build an X system. Start thinking ahead of customer, which is very important in terms of what could be the pain points, what could be the problems they might be facing, right? And start differentiating about them. Next thing is about key differentiators, right? I get 10 proposals in front of me, and all of them say they will do it, they'll do it in the same time, and how do I differentiate, right? Anyways, I have to go through the documents, try and understand, and derive my own definition in terms of what is the differentiator, why should I select ThoughtWorks over someone else? Why not make them explicit, which is very important. Make explicit listing what we bring onto the table, how are we different, associate that with the key problems or the concerns or the key risks that you see on the project. How would you get on and get these things and help client? Make an explicit list of those things for the client. Be innovative, right? The multiple approaches to showcase it. For example, Ruby experience. If you want to say that and make an influence in client, saying that how much Ruby do we know, let's say 10 guys working for a year, we're talking about 10 person years of experience or 10 person years of experience delivered from ThoughtWorks, right? And if we consolidate across all offices, it's going to be a huge number, which is going to be definitely something client is going to notice. About the quality of people, right? I mean, it's just some indicative list. It's not necessarily the list that we should be taking at, but those are the differentiators which really make think your client differently about yourself, about the proposal that you submitted. Average experience is one of those. So, key things: why should client select you, and what do you want to sell? Those things should come clear and explicit as a part of this. What value add you compared to others? How are you different? What do you bring to the table? Why should you select it? And that's what you do better. It's, I think, same repetition. The next thing is content structure in the presentation, right? If you give me a 200-page document and tell me I have a 5 days or 8 days to select a vendor, and I really don't know, I don't have time to go through all these 200 pages and try and understand what you want to say, right? And that's where the structure comes in picture. And that's the primary reason you should have a structure understanding your audience. There's typically going to be a 3 or 4 set of audience. One is going to be executive management, who is primarily going to look at, read first 20 pages, understand what's your solution, what's cost, what risks you have identified, and they're not going to bother about the detailed technical solution or the detailed functional solution as such. So, first thing for the executive team who's going to look at it, I'm going to give a short 10-page or 5-page summary about what I understand your problems are, how I'm going to solve them, what are the key differentiators I bring on table, how will be effective solving the problems that you're facing, the understanding at the functional level, that what is the understanding that we understand, and a technical solution. It could again include the set of technical challenges which might come across, right? If you're some user wants to put up a site, client wants to put up a site which is going to hit a lot of traffic, list them down, tell them that yes, we understand this is a problem, we have done it before, this is how we have done it, it makes an impact here. Price, yeah, it's going to be one of the things. On a functional understanding, right? Typically, a client gives a list of functionality that you want to talk about and is required. Why not go 2 steps forward, identify a set of lists, story identification, do a prioritization as we perceive before we submit the proposal, and give a release plan, which may change anytime post proposal, but it does make sense. It helps in 2 ways. Client understands that the problem on the functionality expected is understood by the vendor, and second thing, it helps if there is any disconnect in terms of what client wants and what we are proposing, that gets resolved there, right? In some of the talks we're talking about, our estimations are very different. Now, how do you triage those? How do you go and discuss about them? If I've listed and have a detailed understanding how and why I've estimated something for this scope and why it costs this much, it's a lot easier. Clients say, I don't want this at all. No, this is really too much. And that makes it a lot easier to identify those risks. Technical solution we've talked about, a typical section where what is in scope, what is it that we're going to do, and try here. Pricing. And if you look at the structure, first, it's again a 200-page document, right? And all first thing I'm talking about what client wants, what their needs are. For executive management, what do you want as a functionally, what technical problems you might face, what do you want to solve, what do you think is the scope and assumptions that on which we are working on, what are the pricing and assumptions. And then comes the appendix where you talk about organization, how much time you have been, and what you do, what your case studies you might have. And there's always a reference point on each of the sections, right? On a functional or technical sections is a complex site that we've built. You could always reference down to the sections down here. So first 30 pages is going to give a lot more information for the person who is going to make a decision, and then anyone who is interested in details can always go and look back. So do I need to stick to this format? That's a question. No, I would say every proposal should be looked at in a different way. I'll give you an example. There's a proposal that I worked on, and what client did was, this is my high-level requirements, and your proposal should at least address following questions. It listed 60 questions, right? And if I would have gone by that approach and taken the all document, again 200 pager, it would have been a lot difficult for client to understand whether it really makes sense or whether my question is answered or not, right? So the approach there was taken is, all right, executive summary followed by your questions, 4 lines answers, reference back to the appendix which gives details. It was a lot easier for clients to go through those 50 questions, first 20 pages of the document, and say, all right, my questions are answered. I know what the ThoughtWorks can do or cannot do. And last thing, have a storyline for a proposal. It's pretty much very important on any document or a presentation to have a storyline. This is your problem. I understand your problem. This is what I think the challenges you're going to face. The functional understanding. This is what I think. This is the releases you should be going for, and this is what it's going to cost you. So it's pretty much a storyline which needs to be thought through in terms of what message that you want to pass on and what you want to sell on a proposal. So approach, and last thing, approach a customer with the idea of helping him or her solve a problem and achieve a goal instead of winning or selling, right? And the goodwill that you build is much more important, which helps you going forward. Next 2 proposals, they see your technical solutions, your functional understanding, lot matches with what they want, but you might not win a project, 1 or 2 project, but you still write a winning proposal which builds a ground for you on a 3rd proposal. Client is definitely going to think, these guys understand a lot better me, and you always write a winning proposal on this. Thank you.